Hello, my name is Mrinmoy, and tonight I am going to tell you a very quiet story. A story with no surprises, no loud noises, no sudden twists, just a slow, gentle journey to a place far away and long ago. A place where the river moves like honey and the stars are thick as sand on a beach. So let yourself settle now. Wherever you are lying, in a bed, on a couch, on a soft pile of blankets, let your body sink into it. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw go soft. Let your hands uncurl. And let your breath slow down. Not because you are trying, but because I am going to speak slowly, and your body will naturally follow. In and out, in and out, like the tide, like the wind, like a river that has been flowing for thousands of years. Tonight we are going to drift together to the banks of the great Nile River. Not the Nile you might have seen in pictures or documentaries. Not the Nile of pharaohs and pyramids and great battles. No, tonight we are going to a smaller, quieter Egypt. A village, a mud brick house, a family of ordinary people whose names history forgot. We are going to live one ordinary day in their lives. And there is a strange, deep peace in the ordinary. Because ordinary days are the ones we actually live. Not the exciting ones. Not the dramatic ones. The ones where we wake up, eat bread, work a little, rest a little, eat again, and fall asleep under the stars. This is the story of a farmer named Kamwasit, his wife, Merit, their 2 children, their small house with the flat roof, their fields of emmer wheat and flax, their goats and chickens, their simple prayers to small, kind gods. But first, let us arrive there together. Close your eyes if you haven't already, or leave them open. It doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling. Imagine warm evening air. Not hot, just warm. The way the air feels after a long summer day when the sun has finally set and the earth is still releasing its heat. Imagine the smell of baked earth and papyrus and something sweet, maybe jasmine growing wild along a ditch. Imagine the Nile, wide and dark and silver in the moonlight. It doesn't roar. It doesn't rush. It just moves, slowly, steadily, like a long breath that never ends. The reeds along the bank whisper together. A small boat tied to a wooden post bumps gently against the mud. Water laps against the hull. Soft, rhythmic, hypnotic. Now imagine a village. Small, mud brick houses with flat roofs, pressed close together along narrow, dusty lanes. A few palm trees rising here and there. A few goats sleeping in doorways. A dog curled up on a pile of old linen. No lights except the moon and the stars and the occasional flicker of an oil lamp through a high window. On one of those roofs, a family is already asleep. Woven mats, linen blankets so thin they are almost just air. The farmer, Kamwasit, lies on his back with one arm behind his head. His wife, Merit, is curled toward him, her hand resting on his chest. Their 2 children, a boy and a girl, are tangled together on a single mat, the way children always sleep when they feel safe. Let yourself lie down beside them, not in the story, not really, but in your imagination. Feel the rough weave of the mat beneath you. Feel the last warmth of the day rising from the mud bricks. Feel the cool night air on your face. Above you, the stars are so bright and so many that the sky looks like it is breathing. The Egyptians had names for these stars. They saw a hippopotamus here, a crocodile there, the soul of a god floating forever across the darkness. But you don't need to know their names. You only need to look and breathe. Listen, the river, always the river, a soft, wet sound that never stops. It is the sound of time passing without effort, the sound of the world going on, ordinary and peaceful, whether we are awake or asleep. And now listen to my voice, Mrinmoy, just my voice, slow and low and steady, nothing to figure out, nothing to remember, nothing to do except lie here on this roof in ancient Egypt and let the story carry you. Tonight there will be no battles, no running, no shouting, just waking, just bread and beer and fields and canals, just the sun climbing and the sun setting, just a family eating together and telling soft stories and saying gentle prayers before sleep. This is the most ordinary day in ancient Egypt, and we are going to live it together very, very slowly. So take one more breath with me, a long one, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. Now let your breath find its own rhythm. Let your thoughts drift like the Nile. Let your body become heavy and soft. You are safe. You are still. You are here. My name is Mrinmoy, and this is your story, your bedtime story, from a village on the Nile thousands of years ago, under a sky full of stars. Let us begin. The sky is still dark when the first sound comes. Not a sound of alarm, not a sound of hurry, just the soft, wet call of a single bird somewhere in the reeds along the river. Then another, then a chorus so faint and far away that it feels like the earth itself is humming. Kamwasit opens his eyes. He doesn't wake suddenly. He doesn't jerk or gasp. He simply drifts up from sleep the way a leaf drifts up from the bottom of a slow pool. He lies still for a moment, looking at the last few stars blinking above the eastern horizon. The air is cool and damp. The mat beneath him smells of straw and sun and sleep. Beside him, Merit breathes deeply. The children do not stir. The village is still silent, except for the birds and the river and the faint creak of a tethered boat bumping against a mud bank. Kamwasit sits up slowly. He rubs his face with both hands. Then he stands carefully so as not to wake the family and climbs down the wooden ladder into the single room below. His feet find the packed earth floor. The air inside is warmer, thicker. A clay jar of water sits by the door. He pours a little into a shallow bowl and washes his face. Then his hands. Then his arms up to the elbow. The water feels cool and clean. He does not speak yet. The morning is too quiet for words. Instead, He turns toward the small household shrine, a niche in the wall with two small wooden statues. Taret, the hippopotamus goddess, stands on her thick legs with her round belly and her fierce, kind face. Beside her, Bes the dwarf god makes a silly, frightening face to chase away nightmares. A small clay lamp burned out hours ago. Beside it, a little pile of dried bread and a dried flower from yesterday's offering. Kamwasit takes a pinch of incense from a small bag. Frankincense, expensive but worth it, and places it on a tiny clay dish. He lights it with an ember from the cold hearth. The smoke rises in a thin, sweet-smelling thread. He closes his eyes. He whispers, "Are who rises in the east. Thank you for the night that did not bring fear. Thank you for the breath in my chest. Thank you for the water in the jar and the bread in the basket." Then he turns to the smaller statues. Bes, guard the door. Keep away the heavy dreams. Taret, watch over Merit and the children. Keep their bellies full and their sleep soft. His voice is low and rough from sleep. The words are old. He has said them every morning since he was a boy. They feel less like prayers now and more like a quiet habit, like stretching or yawning. Above him, he hears Merit stir. The ladder creaks. She climbs down with the practiced ease of someone who has done it 10,000 times. Her hair is loose, dark, tangled. She does not speak. She simply takes the water jar and pours herself a cup. They stand together in the dim gray light of early dawn, watching the smoke rise from the incense. The children wake slowly. The boy rubs his eyes and complains that his leg fell asleep. The girl says nothing. She just sits on the bottom rung of the ladder and stares at the wall. No one hurries. No one shouts. The morning unfolds like a flower opening. Slowly, without effort. Breakfast is simple. Always simple. Barley bread from yesterday, a little dry, but still good. A small bowl of dates, sticky and sweet. And beer. Not the beer you know. This beer is thick and cloudy, more like a porridge you drink. It is not strong. It is not intoxicating. It is just food in liquid form, nourishing, filling, slightly sweet. Everyone drinks it, even the children, especially the children. They sit on the floor around a low wooden table. Merit tears the bread into pieces and hands them out. Kamwasit dips his bread into his beer and chews slowly. The boy eats 3 dates in a row. The girl saves hers for last. No one talks much. The sounds are small. Chewing, swallowing, the scrape of a clay cup, a chicken scratching in the yard outside. When the meal is done, Kamwasit stands. He takes a clean linen kilt from a peg on the wall, white, simple, reaching just below the knees. He wraps it around his waist and ties a knot at the front. Merit hands him a small amulet on a leather cord, a tiny scarab beetle carved from green stone. He puts it around his neck. It will protect him while he works in the fields. He looks at his children. They are still half asleep. The girl's hair is sticking up in the back. The boy has a smear of date on his cheek. Merit wipes it away with her thumb, slow and patient. Kamwasit does not say goodbye. He will see them again in a few hours. Instead, he simply walks to the door, pushes the woven reed curtain aside, and steps out into the village lane. The sky is turning gray-blue. The first long line of gold is just beginning to touch the top of the eastern hills. The air smells of damp earth and smoke from a neighbor's cooking fire. A rooster calls. Another answers. Somewhere a dog yawns. It is time to walk to the fields. The path from the village to the fields is narrow and dusty. On either side, mud brick walls rise up. The backs of houses, the sides of granaries, the tall fences of animal pens. A goat peers through a gap in the reeds and bleats once, then loses interest. Kamwasit walks slowly. He is in no hurry. The fields will wait. The path opens up suddenly, and then there it is, the Nile, wide and silver gray in the morning light. Not dramatic, not roaring, just there, moving, always moving. The water is the color of wet clay, brown and green and gold where the sun touches it. Papyrus reeds grow thick along the edge, their feathery tops nodding in the breeze. A small wooden boat drifts past, pulled by a single square sail that flaps lazily. The fisherman inside does not wave. He is half asleep, leaning against the side, one hand on the tiller. Kamwasit turns away from the river and walks toward the fields. His fields, small plots of dark, rich earth that his father farmed and his father's father farmed before him. The land is flat here, so flat you can see for miles. Green stripes of emmer wheat and flax stretch out like a patchwork quilt. The wheat is waist-high, still weeks from harvest. The flax is taller, pale green, already beginning to turn golden at the tips. The irrigation canals run between the fields like veins. Narrow channels dug by hand, lined with clay, carrying water from the Nile into every corner of the farmland. This is what makes Egypt possible. Without these canals, the land would be desert. With them, it is a garden. Kamwasit walks along the edge of the main canal. The water moves slowly, so slowly you almost can't see it moving at all. A dragonfly hovers above the surface. A frog plops into the water and disappears. The mud is cool under his bare feet. He stops at a shaduf, a simple water lifting device made of a long wooden pole balanced on two upright posts. A clay bucket hangs from one end. A heavy weight of dried mud hangs from the other. You pull the rope, lower the bucket into the canal, let it fill, then let the counterweight do the work of lifting it back up. Then you tip the water into a higher channel. Over and over, all day long. The rhythm is steady. Breathe in, pull. Breathe out, tip. Breathe in, pull. Breathe out, tip. This morning, Kamwasit does not need to use the shaduf. The water is flowing well. The canals are clean. Yesterday, he and his neighbor spent hours clearing out the weeds and mud that blocked the flow. Today, he simply walks the length of his fields, checking each channel. He pulls a few stubborn weeds. He kicks a little mud back into place where a rat has burrowed through the bank. He squints at the sky. No clouds. Good. The sun is climbing, but it is still low and golden. The heat has not yet arrived. In the next field, an old man is doing the same thing. His name is Sennefer. He has been farming this land for 50 years. His back is bent. His skin is dark and wrinkled like old leather. He does not look up when Kamwasit approaches. He just keeps walking along his canal, pulling weeds, kicking mud. They stand together for a while in silence. Then Sennefer says, "The water is good this year." Kamwasit nods. Happy is smiling. Happy, the god of the Nile, not a fierce god, not a frightening god, a plump, gentle god with a belly like a full water skin. He carries trays of food and drink. He brings the annual flood. He does not demand worship or sacrifice. He simply does his work year after year, and Egypt lives because of him. It is comforting to think of Happy, to imagine him sitting on the riverbank somewhere upstream, letting the water flow from his body like sweat or breath, not thinking about it at all. Kamwasit walks back to his own fields. He kneels in the soft earth and checks the base of the wheat stalks. No rot, no pests. The silt left by last year's flood is dark and rich. He picks up a handful and lets it crumble through his fingers. It smells like the beginning of everything. A woman walks past on the path, carrying a basket of bread on her head. She calls out a greeting. He calls back. A child runs past chasing a chicken. The chicken is faster. The child laughs. The sun is higher now, but still gentle. A light breeze comes off the river, carrying the smell of water and reeds and wet earth. Kamwasit works for a long time, or maybe not a long time. Time moves differently here. There are no clocks, no bells, no schedules. The day is measured by the sun and the body's own rhythms. When your back aches, you rest. When your throat is dry, you drink. When your stomach growls, you eat. Simple. He thinks about the tax collector who will come next month. Every farmer must give a portion of his grain to the Pharaoh's storehouses. It is not unfair exactly. The Pharaoh is a god, or at least a god on earth, and the temples need food, and the army needs food, and the scribes need food. So you give. It has always been this way. His grandfather gave. His father gave. He gives. The tax collector is not a monster. He is just a man with a clay tablet and a reed pen, doing his ordinary job. They will sit together in the shade. They will drink beer. They will count sacks of grain. It will be boring, and then it will be over. Kamwasit stands up slowly. His knees crack. He stretches his arms over his head. The sun is warmer now. The shadows are shorter. It is time to go home for the morning rest. He turns and walks back along the canal. The water flows beside him, dark and slow. A heron stands perfectly still in the shallows, watching for fish. The heron does not move. Kamwasit does not hurry. The morning is ordinary. The morning is peaceful. And that is enough. The village wakes slowly. By the time Kamwasit returns, the lanes are filled with people doing ordinary things. A woman sits on a mat outside her door, grinding emmer wheat between two stones. The sound is low and rhythmic. Grind, scrape, grind, scrape. A cloud of pale flour dust rises around her hands. She looks up, nods, and goes back to work. Two children are playing with a wooden toy, a small carved hippopotamus on 4 wheels. They pull it back and forth across the packed earth, arguing softly about whose turn it is. Their mother calls from inside the house. They ignore her. She calls again. They ignore her again. She will call a 3rd time, and then she will come out and pick them both up, one under each arm, and carry them inside. This is how mornings go. Kamwasit stops in front of his neighbor's house. The neighbor's name is Pasair. He is a fisherman, not a farmer. His hands are rough from handling nets and ropes. This morning, he is sitting on a low stool in the shade of his doorway, trying to repair a large hole in a fishing net. The net is made of flax fibers, twisted into cord, knotted by hand. The hole is the size of a child's head. Pasair's fingers are too thick for the work. He keeps dropping the shuttle, the little wooden tool used to weave the new cord through the old knots. Kamwasit sits down beside him without being invited. This is what neighbors do. He picks up a second shuttle, there are always 2, and begins working on the other side of the hole. Neither man speaks for a while. The only sounds are the whisper of the cord through the knots and the distant grumble of a donkey and the soft clucking of chickens. Finally, Pasair says, "The linen prices are going up again." Kamwasit grunts. He does not care very much about linen prices, but he listens anyway because that is what neighbors do. "My wife says we should buy extra now," Pasair continues. "I say we should wait. She says if we wait, we'll pay twice as much. I say if we buy now, we won't have enough grain for the tax collector. She says, 'Your wife is usually right,' Kamwasit says. Pasair stops working. He looks at Kamwasit. Then he laughs. A short, breathy laugh that turns into a cough. "Yes," he says. "She is. That's the problem." They work in silence again. The hole is almost closed now. Kamwasit's fingers move automatically, the way they have moved 1,000 times before. He thinks about nothing. That is the best kind of thinking. From the other end of the village comes the sound of a potter's wheel. Not a fast sound, a slow, steady whir. Wood against clay. Thump, whir, thump. Kamwasit looks up. He can see the potter's shed from here. A small open-air structure with a roof of palm fronds. The potter is a young man named Nebaman. He sits at his wheel with his feet in a shallow pit, kicking the lower wheel to make the upper wheel spin. A lump of gray-brown clay spins between his wet hands, rising and falling, taking shape. It is a jar today. Yesterday it was a bowl. Tomorrow it will be a beer jug. He makes the same things every day. Ordinary things. Useful things. Nebaman does not sing while he works. He does not whistle. He just breathes. In, kick, spin, shape, in, kick, spin, shape. Kamwasit finishes his side of the net and hands the shuttle back to Passer. Passer ties off the last knot and holds the net up to the light. The hole is gone. The repair is ugly but strong. It will hold fish. Thank you, Passer says. Kamwasit nods. He stands up. His knees crack again. He will be sore tomorrow. But tomorrow is not here yet. Before he walks home, he stops by the bread oven. It is a tall clay cylinder, beehive-shaped, with a fire burning at the bottom. The baker, a wide woman named Ipe, stands beside it, slapping flat rounds of dough against the hot inner walls. The dough sticks, bakes, puffs up, and browns in less than a minute. She pulls the finished loaves out with a long wooden paddle and tosses them into a basket. The smell is incredible. Warm, toasty, a little smoky. Kamwasit's stomach growls. He has been awake for hours, and all he has eaten is barley bread and dates and beer. But he does not buy any bread. He will eat at home. Merritt is already making the midday meal. The smell of baking bread will follow him all the way to his own door. He walks slowly through the village. A scribe sits cross-legged in the shade of a tamarisk tree, writing on a piece of papyrus with a reed pen. The ink is black, made from soot and water and a little gum. The scribe's tongue sticks out slightly as he writes. He is counting something. Sacks of grain, probably, or jars of oil. Numbers. Always numbers. The scribe looks up and sees Kamwasit watching. He does not smile. He does not frown. He simply goes back to his counting. This is his ordinary day, and he is content. Kamwasit arrives at his own door. The reed curtain is pushed aside. Inside, Merritt is patting dough into flat rounds. The children are sitting on the floor, playing with a set of carved stone animals. A lion, a cow, a bird. The girl makes the bird fly. The boy makes the lion roar. The lion sounds more like a cat with a hairball. The girl giggles. Merritt looks up. Her hair is tied back now. There is flour on her cheek. You're late, she says, but she is smiling. Kamwasit sits down on a stool. He is not late. No one is ever late here. But he nods anyway because that is what husbands do. The bread goes into the oven. The children keep playing. The sun climbs higher. Soon it will be time to rest. By the time the sun stands directly overhead, the village has gone quiet. The heat is thick and heavy, not the dry heat of the desert, but the wet, pressing heat of the Nile Valley in summer. The air shimmers above the dirt lanes. Even the flies seem slower. Even the donkeys have stopped braying. Inside the house, the shadows are deep and cool. The thick mud brick walls keep out the worst of the heat. The windows are small and high, letting in just enough light to see by without letting in too much sun. Kamwasit and Merit and the children sit on the floor around a low table. The meal is simple, always simple. Bread, still warm from the oven. Onions, peeled and sliced. Lentils, cooked into a thick, earthy stew. And fish, a small Nile perch that Passeer traded for help with the net. Merit grilled it over the coals. The skin is crisp. The flesh is white and flaky. There is more beer. Of course there is more beer. Everyone drinks beer with every meal. Even the children. Even the old people with no teeth. It is not a luxury. It is not a treat. It is simply food in a cup, grain and water and a little date sweetness, fermented just enough to keep it from spoiling. Merit pours from a clay jug into clay cups. The beer is cloudy and pale. It tastes like bread and honey and earth. No one talks much. The heat makes talking feel like too much work. Instead, they eat slowly. Chew. Swallow. Dip bread into the lentil stew. Tear a piece of fish. Suck the meat off the tiny bones. The children eat with their hands. Merit wipes the boy's chin with the edge of her linen dress. He squirms. She wipes again. When the meal is over, Merit stacks the bowls and cups in a corner. She will wash them later, or maybe tomorrow. No one is keeping score. Kamwasit leans back against the wall. His eyes feel heavy. His shoulders feel loose. The beer sits warm in his belly. This is the time of day when everyone rests. Not a choice. A necessity. The sun is too hot for work. The animals are too tired. The river itself seems to slow down, as if even Happy is taking a nap. For 2 or 3 hours, the village sleeps. Merit spreads out the sleeping mats on the floor. Not on the roof this time because the roof is too hot. The children lie down without being told. The boy curls into a tight ball, knees to chest. The girl sprawls out like a starfish, arms and legs pointing in every direction. Merit lies down beside them. She closes her eyes. Within a minute, her breathing has slowed. Kamwasit does not lie down yet. He sits by the door, where a thin strip of shade falls across his feet. Through the reed curtain, he can see the lane outside. No one is moving. The potter's wheel is silent. The bread oven is cold. The scribe's papyrus is rolled up and tucked under his arm while he sleeps in the shade of the tamarisk tree. Even the chickens have stopped scratching. They sit in the dust with their eyes half closed, beaks open, wings spread slightly to cool themselves. From somewhere down by the river comes the sound of water. Just water, lapping against the bank, slapping against the hull of a boat. The sound is slow and repetitive, a soft liquid heartbeat. It is the sound of time passing without effort. Kamwasit's children are asleep now. He can hear the boy snoring. A tiny, whistling snore that would be annoying if it weren't so sweet. The girl has rolled onto her side and is hugging a small rag doll Merit made from scraps of linen. The doll has no face. It doesn't need one. Kamwasit lies down on his own mat. He does not close his eyes right away. He looks at the ceiling, the palm logs that hold up the roof, the woven mats that keep out the dust. A lizard is sitting very still on one of the logs, waiting for a fly. The fly is sitting very still on the wall, waiting for something else. Neither of them moves. The air is warm and still. The only smells are bread and dust and the faint green smell of the river. Kamwasit closes his eyes. He does not try to fall asleep. He just rests. He lets his mind drift the way the river drifts, not toward any destination, just along. The children are asleep. Merit is asleep. The village is asleep. Even the sun seems to be resting, hanging motionless at the top of the sky. This is the hour of no expectations, the hour when nothing needs to be done, the hour when time itself lies down on a mat and closes its eyes. Kamwasit is almost asleep when the girl murmurs something. He opens one eye. She has rolled over and is looking at him, her dark eyes half open. "Tell us the story," she whispers. "The one about the river." The boy is still snoring. He will not hear the story. But the girl is awake now and she wants the story. Kamwasit could say no. He could close his eyes and pretend to be asleep. But he doesn't. Instead, he says very softly, so as not to wake Merit, "Once, a very long time ago, before your grandmother's grandmother was born, there was a man named Osiris. And Osiris was a good king. He taught the people how to grow wheat and barley. He showed them which fruits were sweet and which were poison. He made laws that were fair and the people were happy." The girl blinks slowly. "But Osiris had a brother," Kamwasit continues, keeping his voice low and soft. "And the brother was jealous. So one day the brother did something unkind. But here is what matters. Osiris did not stay dead. He became the god of the underworld. Not a scary place, but a peaceful place. A place where the wheat grows tall and the water is always cool. And his wife, Isis, loved him so much that every year, when the Nile floods, it is her tears watering the fields. And that is why the land is green. And that is why we have bread. And that is why the river keeps flowing, year after year, even when we are asleep." The girl's eyes are closed now. Her breathing is slow. She is almost gone. "Is the underworld dark?" she whispers. "No," Kamwasit says. "It is soft, like lying on a mat in the shade, like listening to the river, like being very, very tired and knowing you don't have to do anything anymore." The girl does not answer. She is asleep. Kamwasit closes his eyes. The lizard catches the fly. The river keeps flowing. The sun begins very slowly to lean toward the west. The afternoon comes gently. The sun is still high, but the heat is less fierce now, or maybe it only feels less fierce because the body has rested. Kamwasit wakes slowly, the way he always does. He lies on his mat for a few breaths, listening. The village is stirring again. Someone is hammering somewhere. A woman is calling for a missing goat. A child is crying about nothing. Merit is already up. She is grinding more grain for tomorrow's bread. The sound is steady. Grind, scrape, grind, scrape. The children are still asleep, curled together on one mat like two kittens. Kamwasit does not wake them. They will wake when they are ready. He washes his face with water from the clay jar. He wraps his kilt around his waist. He ties the scarab amulet around his neck. Today he has a different kind of work. Not the fields. The fields can wait until tomorrow. Today he has promised to help at the local temple. Not the big temple. Not Karnak, with its massive stone pillars and its forest of obelisks and its priests in white linen robes chanting hymns to Ammonius Ra. No. The local temple is small. A single stone building with a courtyard and a few storerooms. A place where villagers leave offerings of bread and beer and flowers. A place where a single priest, old, half-blind, very patient, tends the small statue of the local goddess. The temple is dedicated to Hathor, the goddess of love and music and joy. She is a gentle goddess. She does not demand blood or fear. She asks only for gratitude and small kindnesses. Her statue inside the temple is small. A woman with cow's ears, holding a sistrum, a kind of rattle used in music. The statue's face is calm. Her mouth is turned up in the faintest smile. Kamwasit walks to the temple along a path that follows the river. The sun is warm on his shoulders. The breeze is soft. A kingfisher dives into the water and comes up with a silver fish wriggling in its beak. The bird swallows the fish in one gulp and flies away. This has nothing to do with Kamwasit. He keeps walking. The temple courtyard is quiet. The old priest, his name is Merira, is sweeping the stone floor with a broom made of bound reeds. He sweeps slowly, carefully, pushing dust into a pile, then sweeping the pile into a clay bowl. When he sees Kamwasit, he stops and leans on his broom. "You're here," Merira says. "Good. The offering table needs to be moved. It's too close to the wall. The beer offerings keep dripping onto the limestone, and it's leaving a stain." Kamwasit nods. He walks into the small shrine. The air inside is cool and smells of incense and old flowers. The statue of Hathor stands on a raised platform. In front of her is a low stone table, the offering table. It is covered with small clay bowls. Some bowls hold bread. Some hold dates. Some hold dried flowers. One bowl holds a small puddle of beer that has tipped over. Kamwasit moves the table a few inches away from the wall. It is heavy, but not too heavy. He wipes up the spilled beer with a rag. He arranges the bowls so they are straight. He steps back. The statue of Hathor looks exactly the same as before, but somehow the room feels more peaceful. Merira comes in with a fresh bowl of beer. He places it on the table. He mutters a few words, a short prayer, nothing dramatic. Then he turns to Kamwasit. "That's enough for today," he says. "You can go." Kamwasit does not go right away. He stands in the courtyard for a while, looking at the river. A group of workers is repairing a wall on the far side of the temple. They are not professionals, just villagers, a baker, a fisherman, a grandmother, stacking mud bricks and slapping wet mud between them. They talk as they work. Their voices rise and fall like the river. No one is in charge. No one is rushing. The wall will be finished when it is finished. Kamwasit walks over to watch. A scribe is sitting in the shade of a palm tree, recording something on a piece of papyrus. The scribe is young, maybe 18 years old, with thin arms and a serious face. He writes with a reed pen dipped in black ink. His tongue sticks out slightly when he concentrates. Kamwasit has seen this scribe before. The boy's name is Thomas. He works for the local granary, keeping track of how much grain comes in and how much goes out. It is not exciting work, but someone has to do it. "What are you writing?" Kamwasit asks. Thomas looks up. His eyes are tired. "Tax records," he says, "from last month. I have to send them to Thebes by the end of the week." "Is it hard?" Kamwasit asks. "It's not hard," Thomas says. "It's just a lot. Every sack of grain, every jar of oil, every bundle of flax. I write it down and then I write it down again and then I check it and then I write it down one more time." "That sounds boring," Kamwasit says. Thomas smiles. It is the first time Kamwasit has seen him smile. "Yes," he says, "it is boring, but boring is good. Boring means nothing is on fire. Boring means the crops are growing and the river is flowing and no one is fighting. Boring is a blessing." Kamwasit thinks about this. He has never thought of boring as a blessing, but maybe it is. Maybe the most ordinary days are the best days. The days when nothing happens. The days when you wake up and eat bread and work in the fields and come home and lie on the roof and watch the stars. Those days are not exciting, but they are peaceful, and peace is rare. He leaves the scribe to his tax records and walks back toward the temple. Myra is still sweeping. The sun is lower now. The shadows are longer. The afternoon is fading into evening. Before he leaves, Kamwasit stands in front of the statue of Hathor one more time. He does not pray. He does not ask for anything. He just stands there breathing. The statue's faint smile seems a little wider. Or maybe that is just the light. He walks home as the sun begins to sink behind the western hills. The walk home is the best part of the day. The sun is low and golden, no longer hot but warm, the kind of warm that makes your skin feel like it's breathing. The western hills are dark blue against a sky that is turning orange and pink and soft purple. The river catches the colors and holds them, turning the water into a liquid jewel. Kamwasit walks slowly. There is no reason to hurry. The fields are done. The temple is done. The day's work is finished. Now there is only evening, only home, only rest. The village is waking from its second nap of the day. People are coming out of their houses, stretching, sitting in doorways. The smells of cooking fires begin to drift through the air, smoke and onions and baking bread. A woman is singing somewhere, a low, wordless tune that rises and falls like the wind. Kamwasit's children are waiting for him outside the house. The boy is throwing a stick for the family dog. A skinny, yellow animal with one floppy ear and a tail that never stops wagging. The girl is sitting on the ground, drawing in the dust with a stick. She has drawn a cat, or maybe a hippopotamus. It is hard to tell. When they see Kamwasit, they run to him. The boy crashes into his legs. The girl wraps her arms around his waist. He puts one hand on each head and stands still for a moment. This is the best feeling in the world. Not dramatic, not exciting, just warm and real and ordinary. Merit is inside preparing the evening meal. She looks up when he comes in. She does not ask about his day. He does not ask about hers. They simply exist together in the small, warm room. This is what a marriage looks like after 15 years. Not constant talking, just constant presence. The evening meal is lighter than the midday meal. More bread, a bowl of cooked vegetables, onions, leeks, garlic, a few beans, a small jug of fresh beer, not too strong, and a treat tonight. A little pot of honey, thick and golden, stolen from a wild hive in the reeds. Merit dips her finger in the honey and gives a dab to each child. The boy licks his finger clean and asks for more. Merit says no. The boy asks again. Merit says no again. The boy accepts this. He is learning that no means no even when honey is involved. They eat sitting on the floor as always. The dog sits by the door watching hopefully. The girl sneaks him a piece of bread under the table. Merit pretends not to see. After the meal, Kamwasit washes his hands and face. He changes into a clean linen kilt. Not because the old one is dirty, but because the clean one is softer for sleeping. Merit brushes the children's hair with a wooden comb. The boy whines. The girl sits still. They are very different, these two. The sun is almost down now. The sky has turned deep blue, with a stripe of orange still glowing along the horizon. The first stars are appearing. Just a few, the brightest ones, like pinpricks in a dark cloth. Kamwasit climbs the ladder to the roof. The children follow. Merit comes last, carrying the oil lamp. The roof is flat and square, edged with a low mud brick wall. The mats are already spread out. The night air is cool and soft. From here, you can see the whole village. The dark shapes of the houses, the pale line of the river, the black silhouettes of the palm trees against the fading sky. A donkey brays somewhere. A baby cries. A mother shushes. The sounds of evening, ordinary and comforting. The children lie down on their mats. They are not tired yet. They wiggle and roll and poke each other. Merit sits between them, one hand on each, and begins to tell a story. Her voice is low and soft. The words are old as Egypt itself. Every night, she says, when the sun goes down, the god Ra climbs into his boat. It is a beautiful boat, made of gold and cedar, with a sail of white linen, and he sails across the sky. Not the sky you see now, the sky above the sky, the invisible sky, the one you can only see with your eyes closed. He sails through the darkness, and the stars are the torches of the gods who travel with him. The boy stops wiggling. The girl stares at the sky. And while Ra sails, Merit continues. He fights a great serpent, but not a scary serpent, a sleepy serpent. Every night, the serpent tries to stop Ra's boat. And every night, Ra's companions wake up just in time to push the serpent away. And Ra keeps sailing. He never stops. He never rushes. He just keeps moving slowly, steadily, because that is what the sun does. It rises, it sets, it rises again. The children are quiet now. Their breathing is slow. And when Ra reaches the end of his journey, Merit whispers. The sky turns pink and gold, and the sun comes up again. And we wake up, and we eat bread, and we work, and we sleep, and Ra sails again, every day, every night, forever. The boy is asleep. The girl is almost asleep. Merit leans over and kisses each one on the forehead. Then she lies down beside them and closes her eyes. Kamwasit does not lie down yet. He sits on the edge of the roof, looking at the river. The moonlight is silver on the water. A boat passes, just a dark shape, no sound. The stars are thicker now, scattered across the sky like grains of sand. He can see the constellation the Egyptians call the hippopotamus, and the one they call the crocodile, and the bright star they call the soul of Osiris. He thinks about nothing. That is the best kind of thinking. After a while, Merit stirs. She does not open her eyes, but she reaches out and touches his arm. Just a touch, just a small, warm pressure. It means, I am here. You are here. We are together. Kamwasit lies down on his mat. The night air is cool on his face. The river whispers. The stars turn overhead, slow as breathing. He closes his eyes. Tomorrow will be another ordinary day, just like today. And that is enough. The oil lamp flickers on the roof. Merit lit it an hour ago. A small clay dish filled with linseed oil, a floating wick made of twisted linen. The flame is tiny, just a yellow teardrop of light, but it is enough. It makes the children's faces glow. It makes the shadows soft. The children are not asleep yet. They are fighting sleep the way children always fight sleep, with tiny rebellions. The boy keeps propping himself up on one elbow. The girl keeps humming a tuneless song. Merit has stopped trying to shush them. She knows that sleep comes when it comes. You cannot hurry it. You can only make room for it. Kamwasit sits cross-legged on his mat, facing the children. He is not tired yet, Or maybe he is tired, but the kind of tired that feels good, the kind that comes from a day of honest work, from sun and earth and water. His hands rest on his knees. His back is straight but relaxed. "Do you want to hear a prayer?" he asks. The boy nods. The girl stops humming. This is the nighttime ritual. Not formal, not strict, just a few old words, spoken softly, to keep the darkness friendly. Kamwasit begins. His voice is low and rhythmic, almost like a chant but slower, looser. Bess, who sits at the head of the bed. Bess, who makes ugly faces at the nightmares. Bess, who dances in the dark to keep us safe. Come sit with us tonight. The boy's eyes are wide, but not scared. Bess is a friendly god. He looks like a dwarf with a lion's mane and a big tongue sticking out. Children love him because he is silly. Parents love him because he works. Tarit, Kamwasit continues. Round belly, thick legs, kind eyes. You who stand over mothers and children like a hippopotamus standing in the reeds. You who swallow the bad dreams before they can bite. Stand with us tonight. The girl reaches out and touches Merritt's arm. Merritt puts her hand over the girl's hand. And R.A., Kamwasit says, who sails even now through the dark waters of the sky. R.A., who never sleeps because the world needs the sun to return. Watch over us from your golden boat. Let us sleep without fear. Let us wake with the light. He is quiet for a moment. The flame flickers. The river whispers. Then he says very softly, "That is all. That is enough." The children relax. The boy lies down. The girl curls up. Merritt blows out the lamp. The flame dies with a tiny sigh, and the roof is suddenly full of stars. Thousands of them, millions of them, so many that the sky looks white. Now there is only the dark and the stars and the soft sounds of the night. The children's breathing slows. The dog sighs in his sleep. A fish jumps in the river and lands with a small splash. Kamwasit lies down on his mat. He does not close his eyes yet. He looks at the stars. The Egyptians have names for them. He has forgotten most of them, but he remembers the ones his father taught him. The bull's foreleg, the two birds, the soul of Osiris. He traces the patterns without moving his hands. The stars do not move. They simply are. Merritt reaches over and touches his shoulder. Her hand is warm. "Are you tired?" she whispers. "Yes," he says. "The good kind." She does not say anything else. She does not need to. Kamwasit thinks about the day, the morning prayers, the walk to the fields, the shaduf creaking, the bread baking, the fish grilling, the children playing, the temple, the scribe, the sunset, the honey, the story of Ra's boat. None of it was special. None of it would be remembered. In 100 years, no one would know his name. The fields would belong to someone else. The house would be someone else's home. The statue of Hathor would still stand in the temple, but the priest would be a different old man. This thought does not make him sad. It makes him feel small, but in a good way, like a single grain of sand on the bank of the Nile. The river does not notice each grain, but the grains are there. They hold the river in place. They make the banks. They make the land. He closes his eyes. The children are asleep now. He can tell by their breathing, deep and slow and regular. Merit is asleep too. Her hand has fallen away from his shoulder. Her face is soft in the starlight. Kamwasit is almost asleep when he hears it. A voice from the house next door. A mother singing to her baby. The song has no words, just a melody, 3 notes up and down, over and over. The baby stops crying. The mother keeps singing. The notes drift through the dark like smoke. This is the oldest music in the world. Older than Egypt. Older than the pyramids. A mother singing to her child in the dark. The same song, sung 1,000 different ways, for 1,000 years. Kamwasit's breath slows. His thoughts drift. He is no longer thinking in words. He is thinking in feelings, warm and soft and safe. The mat beneath him, the stars above him, the river beside him, the family around him. He is not asleep, but he is not awake either. He is in the place between, the place where dreams begin, the place where the day ends and the night begins and nothing needs to be decided or remembered or fixed. The mother stops singing. The baby is quiet. The river keeps flowing. Kamwasit drifts. The night is deep now. The moon has moved across the sky, a pale coin sliding down toward the western hills. The stars are brighter than ever, not because they have changed, but because the moon's light has faded, leaving the darkness pure and deep. The village is silent. Not a single voice, not a single dog. Even the donkeys have stopped their braying. The only sound is the river. Listen to it. That slow, steady whisper. Water moving over stones. Water curling around the roots of papyrus reeds. Water slipping past the hulls of sleeping boats. The Nile does not sleep. It never sleeps. But it does not rush either. It simply flows. It has been flowing since before the first human drank from it. It will be flowing long after the last human is gone. Kamwasit is asleep now. His chest rises and falls. His hand rests on his stomach. His mouth is slightly open. He looks younger when he sleeps. The wrinkles softer, the worry lines gone. He could be 20 again. He could be a boy, lying on this same roof, listening to his father breathe. Merit is asleep beside him. One child is curled against her side. The other is sprawled across the end of her mat, feet hanging over the edge. They will all wake up stiff and sore tomorrow. But that is tomorrow. Tonight they are simply sleeping. The village sleeps. In every house, on every roof, people lie on mats and dream their ordinary dreams. A farmer dreams of water. Potter dreams of clay. A scribe dreams of numbers, long columns of numbers that make perfect sense in the dream and none at all in the morning. A mother dreams of her children. Not dramatic dreams, just the feeling of them, close and warm. The temple sleeps. The statue of Hathor stands in the darkness, her faint smile unchanged. The offerings of bread and beer sit on the table, untouched. The old priest Merira sleeps in a small room behind the shrine, his broom leaning against the wall beside him. He snores. It is a small, gentle snore, like a cat purring. The fields sleep. The wheat and flax stand still in the moonlight. The irrigation canals are full of dark, quiet water. A fox walks along the edge of the path, sniffing the air. It finds nothing interesting and walks away. The fox does not know it is in Egypt. It does not know it is in the New Kingdom. It only knows the night and the moon and the smell of mud. The river keeps flowing. Kamwasit's breathing slows even more. He has entered the deepest part of sleep now, the part with no dreams, no thoughts, no awareness, just rest, just the body doing its quiet work. His heart beats, his lungs fill and empty, his cells repair themselves, his muscles relax one by one. This is what ordinary days lead to, ordinary nights. Not exciting, not dramatic, just the slow, steady rhythm of being alive. Tomorrow, before the sun rises, Kamwasit will wake. He will wash his face with water from the clay jar. He will say his quiet prayers to Ra and Bes and Taret. He will eat barley bread and dates and drink thick, cloudy beer. He will walk to the fields along the path by the river. He will check the irrigation canals. He will pull weeds. He will talk to his neighbor about linen prices. He will come home for the midday meal and rest in the heat of the afternoon. He will tell his children the story of Osiris and Isis. He will help at the temple. He will watch the scribe write his tax records. He will walk home as the sun sets. He will eat bread and vegetables and maybe a little honey. He will lie on this same roof under these same stars. He will say his prayers. He will close his eyes. And the day after that will be the same. And the day after that. And the day after that. This is what ordinary looks like. This is what peace looks like. Not a single day of excitement, but 1,000 days of sameness. Of waking and eating and working and resting and sleeping. Of the river flowing. Of the stars turning. Of the sun rising and setting and rising again. Let yourself rest here. You are not Kamwasit. You are not Merit. You are not a farmer in ancient Egypt. But tonight you have lain on their roof. You have breathed their air. You have heard their river. You have felt the warmth of the day fade into the cool of the night. And now you are drifting the way the Nile drifts, slow and easy and without effort. Let your thoughts loosen. Let your muscles soften. Let your breath grow deep and slow. In and out. In and out. There is nothing to do. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to remember or plan or worry about. There is only this, the dark, the quiet, the soft whisper of water. The stars are turning overhead. The river is flowing to the sea. The village is dreaming its ordinary dreams. And you are here. You are safe. You are resting. Let the sound of the Nile carry you. Let the ancient moonlight wash over you. Let the ordinary, peaceful, boring rhythm of this day, this most ordinary day in ancient Egypt, carry you all the way down into sleep. Soft, slow, peaceful. Good night.